want to just talk really some hints about the IARU contest. And it's, I think, it's a great contest. It's a 24-hour contest. Every 4 years, it's part of the World Championship. And often you get a lot of the headquarters stations on, and it's easy to pick up countries. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and walk you through a few things. And now, are you seeing my slideshow?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, something that can be confusing if you're just starting out is we have the world divided up into CQ zones, and then there's also IARU zones. On the IARU zones, there are 85 of them, whereas on the CQ, I think 39. So, you'll want to get a map, or at least be aware there's 89 because those are all multipliers. And so it's easy to get multipliers in this contest, which is an easy way to improve your score. It's a 24-hour contest. And, I'm getting where I have trouble anymore doing the 48-hour contests. But it basically goes from 5 a.m. Saturday to 5 a.m. Sunday. And so you kind of plan your strategy on that. It's July 10th and 11th this year. And it can be kind of a fun contest. One of the questions you ask yourself, what is your goal? Are you trying to win a category? Well, then you'll do a strategy that way. Do you want to just do well in our region? Do you want to beat Gary, K7GS? Do you want to reach as much DX as possible? And I have to tell you, up until 3 years ago, that was my goal. I could have cared less what my score was. I just wanted to reach DX. And so I just worked it for that. Now my goal is, I always want to do better than I did last year. I compete against myself. Used to be, I could not be competitive against the big guns. And so if I tried to compete against them, I just frustrated myself. So I just compete against myself, and I try to do better than I did last year. Some people just decide, hey, I'd like to make 100 contacts or 200 or 500, and then I'll stop. And, people do other things, and some people, it's a combination of these. But, it's important when you think about this, to decide what your goal is. You don't have to do the same goal as anyone else. You'll want to download the rules. And by the way, after we finish, I'll post a PDF of my PowerPoint, which has the links in it. So if you don't want to go get the link, but you'll want to download the rules and read them just where you're kind of familiar with that. That's always a important thing. But I'm going to go over the big issues right now. The first thing you have to do is pick your category. And there are 3 areas you pick it: mode, power, and spotting. Under mode, this contest is either CW, sideband, or mixed. And to be mixed, you have to have a certain number of contacts in the lower, whatever mode was the lower of yours. But you can do the whole contest in CW, like Randy would. You could do the whole contest in sideband like I would, or like Gary, K7GS, he does mixed. He'll do some of the contest in sideband and some of it in CW. So you pick your mode. Then you pick your power level. And obviously QRP, low is considered under 100 watts and lower, high over 100 watts. So if you don't have an amp, you'll probably want to go low. So, that's kind of a, issue there. And then spotting, whether you want to use spots or don't use spots. If you use spots, you're called unlimited. And I'm going to show you how this all works as we go along. But what you'll want to do ahead of time is really just think through what category you want. Ted, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know it's a dumb question. What's QRP?
5 watts or less.
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, you do have to read the rules on that, because there are a few contests that it's 10 watts or less.
Okay.
So, you know, you do have to look at that one. You pick your approach, and I will tell you, run is when you're basically, you find a frequency and you call CQ. You can almost always get more contacts with run than any other way. The other one is search and pounce. And usually, you know, you either use a spotting network and get them, or you dial and just try to find stations. Now, I'm going to give you a personal note here, because again, contesting should be fun. You have to make it fit you and your personality and all that. Okay, I don't do CW, so I can't do mixed. I mean, my mode is stuck. It's going to be sideband. But the other thing is, honestly, I have poor hearing. I need to let somebody in just a moment. There. And because I have poor hearing, I don't like the pressure. Like, I use run in a RIDI contest or a digital contest, but I won't use run in a sideband contest, because I don't want to slow the other person down. So I use, in truth, probably 98% search and pounce, because I can listen till I'm sure I got it and then grab them. But that's just because I'm picking up some noise from somebody. I'm not sure who. Okay, but what I'm saying is, you pick what fits you. You know, if you know how to run and can run, man, it's a way to get points. If you're just trying to get DX stations, search and pounce. I mean, I can just look for who I want and get them that way. Another thing you have to think about is which bands you'll use. And in a contest, and almost all of the standard contests, you cannot use 12, 17, 30, and 60 meters. You can use 10, 15, 20, 40, 80, and 160. And you can do the whole contest on one band. You know, for example, Bob Lee out on Moses Lake will often run a whole contest on 160 meter. If you only had one antenna, you had a great 40 meter antenna, you could run the whole contest on 40 meters. If you have multiple antennas or multiple bands, you can use any combination. And one thing that is good, you can get multipliers on each band. So, you know, theoretically, you know, I could get 98 multipliers on 10, 98 on 15, 98 on 20. And so by going multiple bands, you pick up multipliers, which makes a tremendous difference in your score. And so, you know, and by the way, you know, we may have 10 meters open, which I'll show you last year, it didn't open at all. Another thing you think about are the points. So if your contact is like somebody else that's on this meeting right now, they're in our continent and in our zone, they're worth 1 point. They're worth a point, but they're worth 1. If I contact someone that's in my zone, but a different continent, which that's very rare, that's 1 point. If I contact somebody on my continent, so North America, but a different zone, it's 3. So if I contact somebody in Mexico or somebody on the East Coast, I get 3 points. If I contact somebody on a different continent and a different zone, they're worth 5. So anybody I get in the Caribbean, anybody in South America, those are 5 points. Well, you can see, I mean, it's 5 times as much. So you want to concentrate, if you will, on other continents first, if you can, and then other zones after that. On multipliers, every zone is a multiplier on every band. So there's theoretically 80 to 90, depending on which list you're looking at right now. I think 89 is the current total I looked up yesterday. But you could get all multipliers on every band. I mean, it'd be hard to do that, but if the conditions were right, it could be done. And then here's the second one. All the IARU member stations, which basically there's a member station in every country. They, at least one, and by the way, there'll be multiple in some, they have a special call sign, and I'm going to show you those. And there is a list you can go and get all the abbreviations. The first year I did this contest, this really confused me because they kept coming back with these odd reports, and I'm thinking, what is that? But once you learn how that works, you can get it. They also count for multipliers. So if I work somebody like, let's say in Italy, if I work Italy just on its own, it's a multiplier. If I work an IARU station in Italy, it counts for both the zone and the member station. And you'll see they'll come out with reports like IARU or AC or R1, R2, and I'll show you some of those. But there will be a few oddball reports come up, but those are multipliers, and so don't shy away from them. A possible strategy, and obviously it depends on band conditions, but normally on Saturday morning from 5 to 8, I'll try and work Asia, especially on 24 to 80 and 160. And I think Jim remembers there was a contest that Murph and Jim and I kind of competed against. Well, I got a big jump on them because I picked up a whole bunch of Asian multipliers between 5 and 6 in the morning. And so, there are Asians often open at that time. And then I would tend to switch to Europe in the morning and South America and the Caribbean in the afternoon, and then back to Europe at night. And then Sunday morning, I'll go back to Asia. Now, that's not the only strategy, but that's when I go in to this contest this year, that's probably going to be my game plan. By the way, anybody can break in any time. On the you do, and I can't emphasize this enough, don't use a general logging program. It'll cause you nightmares. Use a contest logging program. Now, by far, the big contesters, I mean, we're talking over 95% of them use N1MM, which is free. We've done a lot of workshops on it, and you can go back and look at those. Those are all on the user group. You can look at them. It's a powerful program. I now, at this point in because if I did CW, I guarantee you I would use it. For RTTY, I use it. I mean, that's why I wanted to learn that program, is RTTY. Because I think N3FJP is terrible for RTTY. But as a new contester, and that's what I aim tonight at. Tonight's a new contest. I think, I think, for example, we could sit down in 15 minutes and I can have you working at 95% capacity using N3FJP for this contest. It does cost. If you only buy the contest module, it's basically $9. If you buy the whole package, which is all of the contests and the general logging program, it's $50. And it's a lifetime license. I bought mine in 2002, and I probably have had 200 or 300 updates and never had to pay a penny. So the reason I'm doing this tonight is for new contesters. If you just want to get out and try it, I think in 3FJP is far easier that way. Now, you do need to match your goals. So if your goal is to reach as much DX as possible, you're going to want to use all bands and unlimited. And by the way, if you can use CW, I'd use it. But there's going to be stations on CW that there won't be on sideband. Your goal is to I'm getting some music in the background somewhere. Just a minute.
Hey, Billy.
Okay, if your goal is to win a category, go look at last year's and find out which category didn't have a great deal of competition. Somebody won a category last year with 7 contacts because they were the only one in the category. They got the certificate. So, if you're out for category wins, go that way.
That's Murph's trick.
Yeah. Chuck does the same thing too up in Okanagan. When you're preparing for the contest, do not wait until Friday night or Saturday morning. You'll just cause yourself grief. Download and set up the contest loading program you're going to use. Make sure it's all set up. You'll download and set up the needed support files, the country list, the partial checker. You'll want to set up your spotting program to be how you want it. And I hope you have some kind of checklist to this is what, check your antennas out. Make sure that, all your 259 connectors are tight, that your SWR is right. You don't want to start the contest and find out, hey, I got a problem. Get on the air Thursday and Friday. A lot of world stations, other countries, get on the air to test their stations ahead of time. You can pick up some DX, but you'll also know your station is working right. Give it a shakedown. I can't, advocate that strongly enough because, frankly, there's good DX to pick up. Now, I'm going to show you now using N3FJP. And by the way, one of the major differences between N1MM and N3FJP is this. N1MM is modular. You pick the modules you want, which makes it extremely flexible and customizable. I mean, that's the real advantage of it. You can make it fit you. You can move them wherever you want. You can organize them. N3, it's an all-in-one package. So that's why it's simpler, but it's also, you could argue, less flexible that way. There's also a screen that I don't have showing you right here on this slide, the spotting, which I'll bring back a little later. I use it on a different monitor, and you can make it appear at the bottom, but it's not very effective that way. Either you need to make them put 2 screens on one monitor or have 2 monitors. But this is actually my log from last year. And we'll kind of work through everything and show you what it is piece by piece. But if you look at the lower left-hand side, this is where you would enter your log, and they would come in and it would tell you if it's a duplicate. So if you had already worked this station on this band, it would come up duplicate. If you started to work at your super partial checker, would tell you, you typed SP0, and it would tell you all of a sudden all the SP0s that are probably in the contest. And so it helped, it can speed you up there. Down at the bottom, this is, on some contests, you're limited to time. There are some 48-hour contests that you can work 36 hours of. Well, you start and stop your time there. You have to mark your mode and your band. Now, if you do rig interface, it will do the band automatically. But if you're doing mixed, where you're doing some phone and some CW, you need to switch mode or it will record in your log incorrectly. Then right above that in the top left hand is your context. And so, you know, it's basically, you can see last year I only made 258. There wasn't great propagation last year. But if you look here, this is their zone, but here was one of those stations that was this one was the IARU, but that was their report back. Of course, you got your country, and then over here are you seeing my cursor, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Here's your band, and then, you know, it's going to show the mode. So, you know, it basically, if you want to look back and see something, you can. At the bottom right is your multipliers. And so, like you look last year, I made no contacts on 10 or 160. And I only had one on 80, actually. But on multipliers, I had 50 multipliers on 20. Now you see these letters in here. These are those member stations, like that's Japan. This is Germany. So they'll come back and say 59 DARC. You record what they tell you. And those are all multipliers, and I'll illustrate that more in just a moment. And then your actual statistics. And now this is in this one, it's in the upper left-hand corner. So you see, I had 258 contacts, but points, remember, some are 1 point, some are 3 points, some are 5 points. Well, so this is your score, and then here was the multipliers. So your your multipliers multiply times your score, and that gives you your total score. So in truth, every time I get a multiplier, it was worth 750 points. Which, you know, that makes your score go up. Very much so. I'm going to demonstrate, actually, I'm going to kick it up and demonstrate it here in just a moment, a live version of it, because I want to show you how to do a few things. But I want to show you how to get the country files, how to get the super partial checker, some ideas I have on spotting programs, on others may have other ideas, how to create a Cabrillo file, which you need to turn in, and then how to back it up after the contest. So I'm going to stop my share a minute and then go to the actual program. And so give me just a second. Okay, are you seeing my, wait a minute, that's not right. It didn't quit sharing that. Okay, let me go back. Now, are you seeing my, you're not seeing my program right now, are you?
Yeah, we
It looks,
we were.
You were seeing it? Okay, let me try one thing then. I saw that it came up small. I want to see if there's a way I can bring it up full size. Well, unfortunately, oh, now I got it, I think. Whoops. Well, I think I'll have to, this is going to be interesting. Okay, I can do it. You're seeing my contest program now, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me just walk you through it. I'm sorry that it's I scrunched it down to make it fit on my screen a little bit. But when you load it up, under File, you will come down here and it's going to say Download Country Files from one of the first things you want to do is download where you make sure you got the country file, and it's very fast. You just hit on that, it will come up, and that fast it's done. But you want to make sure you do that, and that's under the File menu. Then under Settings, you're going to want to go down, and under Super Check Partial, it will say, do you want to download the master? And you do, and you want to check to enable it. This will help you get calls that maybe you don't quite have. And again, it's very fast. This is real time. See, it already did it. So you'll want to download that right up on the front. If you're going to set it to rig interface, you'll come on and you can pick your radio, and then you just set these things here and you can test it. And this way it will automatically keep your band synced, and it'll work from the spotting program. And it's quite easy to do. You know, I have an ICOM, so I can put that. I'm not hooked up now, so my COM ports don't appear, but you put that, and then it's pretty standard. And if you need any help on this, just email me between now and then, and I'll try and get you set up that way. But you want to do rig interface. Then the other setting you want to do is in DX spotting. And if you're using VE7CC, or if you're using WS7Is, you can set it up on that side instead of here. If you don't know about those or don't want to mess with them, you can set it up here. And I would check, you know, I want the band map on startup, and the band map will appear on your right side. So whatever band you're on, it'll show everybody that's spotted. I want to use the large one from the beginning on a separate monitor. You'll hit enable, but don't hit it quite yet. I want all continents. And then under filters, this is personal preference. But I want them on this one from my continent. I don't want to know a spot from South America or something. And I only want them from call areas 0, 6, and 7. Because if I put something like, let's say, call area 1, those guys are going to hear stations that I can't hear at all. If I put this here, I know that I can probably work. If they're there, I can work them. And then because I don't do CW, I'm going to block it. And there's no digital in this one. I'm going to block it. I'm only going to have it spot phone. But again, if you were doing CW and phone, you would uncheck that. Then I don't want spots on the bands that I can't use. So I'm going to check to block those spots. And then I'm also going to check to block duplicates. That way I don't get something spotted that I've already worked. And so that's the way I would set it up. It's not necessarily right or wrong, but I can make myself much faster this way. And so,
Mel,
yeah.
can you, again, I'm very new. Can you explain what spotting is?
Yes, great, Ted. If you, spotting is basically where people have reported that they worked a station. Now, if you do it on CW, it often uses the reverse beacon network and skimmers. So there's a lot more spots on CW than sideband. But it's somebody is saying, like, you know, for example, if I work somebody rare, I'll spot them immediately. And that way you could then go get them. You know, you'll see sometimes on the user group, somebody will say, I worked this country on 17 meters at this time, Foxhound. Right. Well, that's spotting. Okay. Only this is all done digitally, very fast, real time. And okay. If you need help on that, Ted, you know, we can just get you all set up. And the thing is, you can grow in it. You don't have to do it right the first time. Try it and kind of learn from it and have fun with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But after you get it the way you want it, then you're going to hit enable. And by the way, you see all those spots came up, and I have them on a different monitor. That's why you don't see them, but they're that helps you that way. So those are things you want to do before the contest begins. You get all that where it's all set and then you're working. By the way, I told you, see, these were all those member stations that I worked on 20. So most people are going to come back. You're going to say 5906. That's what we'll say. They're going to come back 5911, 5914, 5915, whatever. But the member stations will come back and they'll say 59 RAC. Well, that's their report, and that's a multiplier. So you want that. Now, the next one I want to show you is, okay, now you have the contest for however long. By the way, during the contest, it'll keep track of what your speed is. And, there are CW operators that man on run can get unreal numbers there. On sideband, it's not unusual for me to break 70 in an hour in the heat of a contest. But anyway, that's your hour one. When it starts getting too low, change bands. But after the contest is over, you'll want to send in a Cabrilla file. And this is the easiest thing in the world. You just go to File. Now the contest is over. I come down here and it says Write Cabrilla File. See? I just click on it and it comes up. And so most of it will be filled in, but you're going to write the contest. You're a single op, a fixed station. You're not mobile. Most of us are only, especially beginners, are only using one transmitter. Now you can put your power. And I'm going to put high because that's going to be me. I'm going to use assist, but you could put non-assisted. I did all bands. I would going to do sideband. I'm not doing any overlays here. Here's my call. It's going to be my call down here again. Now, once I've done that, then I just click right here, Write Cabrilla Summary Log. And it's going to write it, and it's going to be my call.log, and it will save it to the default directory. Make sure you note where it's saved. So like on mine, it's going to be Documents, Affirmac, N3FJP, ARL, IRU. So I would hit Save. It's now said Saved. And now it's going to show me what it looks like. This is a Cabrilla file in the exact format they want it to be. And you don't need to do anything with it, but it will show you what it looks like. Once I've done that, now I can submit it right here. Open contest log submission form. I open that. And by the way, you're seeing this, aren't you now?
Yes.
Okay. Then I can just come in. Okay, I'm doing it for the HF contest. I'm going to put my email address.
I think it's on another monitor, Mel.
Oh, I'm on another monitor? Okay, I have no way to bring it down here. That's too bad because I was hoping to really show that. Well, my point is, all you have to do is fill out a couple of things here. You choose that file and select it, and then it's automatically sent. You don't have to do anything else. It's done. And that is a big time saver. for that. The other thing you can do after the contest is you can come up here to view, and you can get all of your statistics. It gives you, it shows you what your rate were, what bands you were on, what your speed was. You can get a graph of it. So, for example, can you see the graph or not? I imagine you can't.
No.
Okay, that's too bad. I've got to figure out how to do that. But it will show you a graph of your speed, how you went. You can also get a list of all the countries you worked. And that's kind of helpful there. So, by the way, if you look down at the bottom, you see the spots can come in here. I don't like that. I like to have it on another monitor, to be honest with you, because it's bigger. And I didn't show you the band map because I found out earlier I couldn't make it work with Zoom like this.